Basketball Genius, Pass Master Revolutionizes Slam Dunk Universe. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 41. Oda, you. Yeezy looked like he wanted to talk and stopped, which made Xiao Tian look angry. What are you trying to say? What are you doing here again? Come and see my joke? I've had enough of your sympathetic and disappointed eyes. Isn't it just that you didn't play well for 20 minutes? Negated all my efforts? Sakuragi Hanamichi, that bastard. It's all because of him. Xiao Tian suddenly launched a rush, and at first glance it was the kind with domestic violence tendencies. Frightened, Yeezy took a few steps back one after another, looking frightened. Oda, how did you become like this? Xiao Tian's eyes were cold, and he stood up and forced to look at Yeezy. Change? You always say that I have changed, and there is no end. Didn't I get better? I became a leader in the first year of this team, and the team has set my sights on the whole country because I joined. If I accompany you every day as before, how can I be worthy of what the team expects from me? How to grow? And you? I've been complaining about this, complaining about that. Even if I have fans, you will be unhappy, which affects my mentality. If you want to say change, I think you have changed. Become selfish. Xiao Tian's words made Yeezy's tears keep flowing, and at this moment, she felt extremely aggrieved in her heart. Originally, she came to Xiao Tian because she was worried about him and wanted to comfort him. I can see Oda's state, and I don't know what to say, because I am worried, I will worry a lot. But she didn't expect that Xiao Tian roared at her like crazy, as if she had no reason, and blamed all the mistakes on her. Ask yourself, you have never interfered with him, you have always been silent, and you have suffered grievances, and suffered alone. Instead, it was said to be selfish. Until now, Yeezy plucked up the courage and simply spoke out his heart. Oda, think for yourself about how you played basketball when you were in junior high school. Were you the same then as you are now? Was your teammates' affection for you like this then? And we were not like this then. Is all this still your original intention? You've become unrecognizable to me. After Yeezy finished speaking, he saw Xiao Tian's body trembling slightly, and his face was indescribably ugly. Suppressing anger, he replied, the middle school set will not work, this is a high school, I have countless fans, and I have a more ambitious goal, this is the original intention. Obviously, this person could not repent and completely fell into this beautiful scene, created by the martial garden. But the beauty is because of expectations. Once you can't see expectations, it will wake you up from a beautiful dream, and then everything will be too late. Yeezy shook his head, trying his best to wake him up, but as soon as the words came out, he heard Xiao Tian roar, don't be special. At the same time, with a wave of his big hand, he flung it at Yeezy's face. Syllable. A crisp slap. Leaf was beaten with a stagger. Suddenly, his cheeks became red and swollen, and 2 lines of tears broke and flowed. The eyes are not grievances, but complete disappointment. At this moment. Bastard. An angry scolding suddenly sounded in the ears of the two. Then I saw a red hair kill, between the two. Sakuragi? Oda and Yeezy called out in unison. Sakuragi Hanamichi's eyes widened angrily, and she grabbed Oda's clothes and stuck him against the wall. The combat effectiveness between the two is particularly clear at this moment. I actually hit the leaves. You scum. Saying that, Sakuragi Hanamichi's fist had already been raised, and it was about to hit Oda's face. Frightened, Xiao Tian's mouth deflated, and his eyes were closed. Sakuragi can't. At the moment of the attack, Leaf shouted with a crying voice, causing Sakuragi Hanamichi's fist to stop in front of Oda's face. A fist wind blew through, and Xiao Tian's whole body was covered in cold sweat. Sakuragi Hanamichi said angrily, Leaf. After all this, do you still want to protect this scumbag? However, Hako's answer surprised both Sakuragi and Oda. Sakuragi, you can't play it or you'll be dealt with by the team. Leaf wiped her tears and looked at Sakuragi sincerely, and said. Sakuragi Hanamichi looked at her stunned, as if he didn't mean to care about Oda, but. Are you worried about me? Oda also took this opportunity to break free from Sakuragi's hand and glared at Leaf resentfully. You disappointed me so much. After leaving this sentence, he ran away as if for his life. Yeezy shook his head mockingly, the facts have proved that all his efforts are meaningless, is it a wrong payment? He complained and was beaten, and in the end he was still reasonable? Sakuragi fumbled in her pocket at a loss, trying to find a tissue for Leaf. Leaves. You. Were you just worried about me? Sakuragi Hanamichi asked these words, and his heart pounded. But apparently he wasn't asking at the right time. The girl is sad and aggrieved at this time. How can she be in the mood to discuss this with you? Leaf sniffled and buried her head in a bow. Sakuragi, thanks for showing up. After saying that, he turned around and walked away without looking back. Only Sakuragi Hanamichi was left in place, with a confused look. I didn't understand a series of operations of the leaf at all. Then came Bai Ze's voice behind him. Feelings are such a thing, they are already developing in a good way, trust me Sakuragi. It is also a coincidence that the reason why Sakuragi Hanamichi appeared here was because he came out to pee after being rubbed by Shirasawa and them. Along the way, he ran into the scene of Oda and Yezi. Sakuragi was originally secretly observing to see what state the two were in now. After all, Shirasawa said that defeating Oda on the court would win back Hako's heart. But she didn't expect to see the moment when Shada hit her. Suddenly Sakuragi was anxious. Even if it was not Yezi, he would most likely intervene to stop it, and hitting women was the most despised, and he couldn't look past it. What's more, it was the leaves that he had in mind. Shirasawa appeared similarly, except that he arrived a little later than Sakuragi. I also saw everything in my eyes. The title of Tian Scumbag is really worthy of the name. But this accident is possible. Things seem to be going according to the plan at the beginning. Sakuragi Hanamichi, this is going to be transferred? Episode 42. An unexpected farce also made the intermission flutter. In the second half, the two sides exchanged venues. 65-37. Xiangbei took to the field with an absolute advantage of 28 points. Wu Yuan still looked frustrated by everyone, as if he had already recognized this defeat in his heart. At halftime, the manager didn't come up with any constructive plan. This is not surprising. But if this head coach has some ability, he will not choose an Oda Ryumasa as a treasure, and he has set his goal at the national competition. As an inside player, Ryumasa Oda, whether it is his strength or potential, can only be regarded as above average. In particular, the potential determines the upper limit of the player. For example, Sakuragi Hanamichi is a player with great potential. Oda Ryumasa can't talk about it. Supporting the death is just a plug-and-play combat power. After the incident just now, Oda on the field hated Sakuragi Hanamichi a little more, and those eyes never left Sakuragi. The same goes for Sakuragi Hanamichi. Now he no longer just hates or annoys Oda, but dislikes and despises. From the start of the second half, the two men were reckless again, far more intense than the first half. Shirasawa also began to deliberately feed Sakuragi to create conditions for him. It's just that compared to normal people, Sakuragi putting the ball into the basket is too scary. No matter how hard it is to pass around Bai Ze's ball, it is difficult for him to score the ball every time. Shirasawa moved sideways with the ball and sent a delicate back pass near the free throw line that passed through the two defenders into Sakuragi's arms. Sakuragi smiled confidently, seized the moment when no one was watching, and raised his hand to send it away. The ball smashed impartially on the neck of the basket. Miyagi, who was watching, grabbed his hair in annoyance. Xiaobai, don't waste the opportunity next time, this guy is your Terminator. After 2 rounds, Xiangbei counterattacked quickly. Shirasawa sent a long-range hit from near the halfway line, and the basketball pierced the defense, and after bouncing, it landed in front of Sakuragi's eyes. Sakuragi Hanamichi catches the ball and makes a 3-step layup. Poof. Basketball bounced the box, wasting a quick attack. Saiko on the sidelines shook her head helplessly and sighed. Hey. This guy Sakuragi is also too weird. In vain, Xiaobai specially fed him the ball. Coach Anze smiled. After all, Sakuragi has only been in basketball for more than a month, and now he is already growing rapidly. If you have a little more patience, you will definitely pay off if you give him time. Bai Ze was also quite speechless, but it was not impossible. If so, you fly. Shinobi attacked again, and Shirasawa gave Sakuragi some hints. Sakuragi Hanamichi understood and began to run actively. In terms of flexibility, Oda is very different from Sakuragi. Once Sakuragi ran, Oda was completely slowed down for a beat. After a few tenbacks, Sakuragi Hanamichi ran out of the space, while Shirasawa quickly shot the ball. People to the ball too. Help Sakuragi Hanamichi stage an aerial relay dunk again. This time, Sakuragi finally raised his eyebrows. Glared at Oda in disgust. Rubbish. For the next few rounds, Bai Ze still dominated the attack. He gave 3 more brilliant assists in a row, allowing Xiangbei to continue to score. The bench had already begun to marvel at Bai Ze's passing after pass. They found that passing the ball during the game can also be a visual pleasure. Make the offense incredibly silky without any frustration. It's not pleasing to the eye. This pass after pass also completely extinguished the last fighting spirit of Wu Yuan. Except for Oda Ryumasa, who is still fighting with Sakuragi, the other team members have completely lost their desire. With 8 minutes left in the second half, Xiangbei was 97-52, leading by as many as 45 points. Coach Anze decisively called a timeout and closed the troops. All the main forces except Sakuragi were removed. After all, this is just a practice match, and there is no deep hatred between the two sides, almost it. Winning again would be a bit of a beating of the water dog. It's actually a little late now, but Coach Anze also wants to appreciate Bai Ze's passing for a while and appreciate the team's flowing attack. Coach Wu Yuan was also grateful and nodded at Coach Anshi. This is kind of a release for them. Otherwise, if you lose again, the reputation of the team will stink. Known as the home of the devil, the audience has already walked most of the time. Girls also have a sense of honor and humiliation, and this feeling of being abused makes too many people unable to persevere. Oda Ryumasa punched the chair beside him. Why? How can we have such a big gap with Xiangbei? And you guys are too unmotivated. How many goals are scored by watching Xiangbei? Oda was as angry as ever, but this time his teammates were not used to him. You're almost okay, it's not all because of us. How many points did you get as our trump card? You've been entangled with that redhead, I don't think you took advantage of anything, and now if you lose, you blame us instead? After a few words from his teammates, Oda was speechless. Zhang Tian didn't say another word for a long time. If a team fails, if the ace player tries his best to score 30 or 40 points, it can also make people say that although they are defeated. But Oda, so far, he has scored a total of 16 points, but he has shot 28 times. In addition to hitting iron, it is a hat. The defensive end is even more temperless. As the team's last and most important defensive barrier, Xiangbei scored more than 70 points on the inside. It cannot be said that there is no achievement, it can only be said that it is completely unpreventable. It wasn't until the coach spoke that the restless atmosphere was suppressed. Okay. Stop blaming each other, everyone is responsible for losing. We have to accept failure, go back and strengthen training, so that this kind of thing will not happen a second time. After speaking, he sighed and sat down. Speaking of it, but he knows that this route is all given by one person, the number 9 Bai Ze in Xiangbei. His strength is too exaggerated. The technical statistics of those 27 assists are the best proof of this. Moreover, he actually did not make a single shot in the whole audience. Most likely, Coach Anze is deliberately releasing water. Otherwise, this game is estimated to not last for half time. This year's Xiangbei is amazing. I'm afraid our plan to rush to the whole country will be delayed. In the last 8 minutes, at Oda's strong request, the coach agreed to his request to play. Anyway, didn't Xiangbei also keep a starter? It just so happens that the two of them have fought for a whole time, so let them fight. It's better to be worthy of the audience than garbage time substitutes pecking at each other. Episode 43. After Bai Ze got off the field, he picked up technical statistics again. 27 assists. It looks like this game is going to freeze here. There is no way, if you want to blame, you can only blame Wu Yuan for being too uncompetitive. Xiaobai, I find that you seem to care about data very much. Keiko looked at him curiously. Bai Ze is also a strange player, and he has never seen anyone who does not shoot once in a game. He only focuses on passing assists and pays special attention to the number of assists. Even looking at it will unconsciously reveal some expressions that are difficult to fathom. This question made Bai Ze also a little embarrassed. You don't understand my world. I just look happy that every assist represents that we have a team member scoring, which is a feeling of sharing, which is wonderful. Bai Ze is a serious nonsense. Psycho thoughtfully poked her chin with a pen and muttered. It's a wonderful feeling to share, that's how you understand it. How wonderful is it that you have to see if you're okay? At this time, Psycho was sitting next to Shirasawa, her two well-defined legs entangled, and because she was raising her arms, the lines of her upper body were also revealed. Bai Ze, who looked at it, was a little shaken. Subconsciously blurted out, as beautiful as your lines. After saying that, 2 flashes of crimson quickly flashed on Keiko's face. Those beautiful peach blossom eyes quickly glanced at Bai Ze. Bai Ze also thought that she would be shy or angry, but she didn't expect that the corners of Keiko's mouth were slightly hooked, and she said generously, "You have a good eye." After saying that, he left with a grin. Bai Ze couldn't help but nod. Well, there is a pattern. Back on the field. At this point, the game was no longer about the result. It was completely a hand-to-hand battle between Sakuragi and Oda. Every ball counts. Sakuragi's abundant physical energy was revealed at this time. Already completely prevailed, the more excited the fight. Because he is watching Oda lose to himself little by little on the court. Oda was unwilling, but his body had reached his limit and was completely crushed by Sakuragi. At this time, there are still more than 2 minutes left. Oda mentioned a 45-degree catch facing Sakuragi. After a few attempts, he finally used a feint shot to set Sakuragi on fire. Oda followed the trend and the ball burst inside. Use your last strength to get up and dunk. I want to end this battle with this one dunk. In his heart, the ball dunked, and he won. Without having time to think about it, press the ball directly to the basket. And yet, the ball was blocked by a great force. Oda was suddenly shocked in his heart. Sakuragi Hanamichi. Obviously he passed him just now, why did he come again? Scold. Sakuragi let out a low roar and used all her strength to cover the ball. At the same time, Oda, who was physically anxious for physical fitness, also lost his center of gravity and fell to the ground with the ball. With a bang, the basketball rolled out of bounds. Oda lay on the ground and did not move. People are still alive, but their hearts have been killed by Sakuragi. Sakuragi Hanamichi stood in front of him and said word by word, "You have already lost basketball to me, and if you want to fight, I will always accompany you." With the help of his teammates, Oda stood up weakly. There was no longer a look in his eyes, and he wrote 4 words, a defeat. With the referee's whistle, the one-sided massacre was finally over. The players in Wuyuan on the field exhaled in relief. Every second is an ordeal for them. Xiangbei celebrated their long-awaited victory. A practice match with ulterior motives turned out to be a Shunshui favor for Xiangbei. Of course, the biggest beneficiary is definitely Bai Ze. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing 27 assists. Gain ability value 27 points, money 500,000 yuan. 10 assists per game achievement achieved, additional reward ability value 5 points, money 30,000 yuan. 20 assists per game achievement achieved, additional reward ability value 5 points, money 30,000 yuan. The information in his mind scrolled, and Bai Ze was extremely satisfied. This time I can improve a lot. Especially possession. If it weren't for the fact that Wu Yuan was too weak, it would not have been possible to fight so easily today. If you have good ball control, you will not be afraid. Absolutely a big plus. On the sidelines, the Wu Yuan players and the few remaining fans left the field silently, and only the head coach personally walked to the Xiangbei side. Bai bowed respectfully to Anqi. "You came all the way and taught us this important lesson." Coach Anze roared and smiled, his face was light. "You also have good players, let's work together when the county tournament starts, and hopefully we can meet again." The corner of Coach Wu Yuan's mouth twitched. "I don't want to. Number 9 on your team is a rare talent, so where did you get him?" He really wondered about this. "It's all about digging people, how did I dig a Oda Ryumasa?" "You've dug a real Kuaibao." Coach Anze smiled lightly. "Oh, you said Bai Ze, you probably didn't pay much attention to the National Middle League. Bai Ze is a member of this year's champion Yokota. It's just that he only played the last 50 seconds in total." I have to say that Coach Anze pretended to be a good hand. A player who has only appeared for 50 seconds, I got it, you don't. When you found out he was a genius, it was late. Coach Wu Yuan kept sending Xiangbei to the school gate before leaving, which was considered to be full of etiquette. Until she left the school, Sakuragi didn't see the leaf again, and she couldn't help but feel a little lost. According to what Bai Ze said, the first step was completed, and today he definitely defeated Oda. Whether it's an individual or a team. It's just this second step, Eiji changed his mind. It doesn't seem to be so smooth. Out of the school, Coach Anze announced that he would disband on the spot. Everyone has worked hard today, and the afternoon time is free to arrange. The team members cheered and dispersed. However, Psycho stopped Bai Ze and asked him to help bring the competition-related things back to school. Bai Ze readily agreed. Originally, there was nothing to do in the afternoon, isn't it just right to have Keiko with her? In fact, there is nothing, just 2 bags. Bai Ze picked it up, and Keiko patted his arm encouragingly. The two walked away with a smile. Saiko carried her hands behind her back, and there was some joy in her light steps. What is this helping, looking clearly dating a sense of sight? Miyagi smiled with relief. He had completely put down Saiko, and the target at the moment was only Reina. As soon as he turned around, he collided with Sakuragi. You guy, don't you look at the road? After Miyagi finished speaking, he saw that Sakuragi did not disobey 7 and 8 dissatisfied as in the past. Instead, he looked like he had lost his soul and had no spirit at all. This expression, he is too familiar. Sakuragi, are you worried about women's affairs? Sakuragi Hanamichi was startled. How do you know? Episode 44. Street Park. Sakuragi Hanamichi and Miyagi Ryota sat lonely together. Counting the past. One was rejected 50 times by a girl and one rejected by a girl 20 times. This common point is like a rope that ties the two people invisibly together. Talking about experience and coming up with ideas, obviously neither of the two people is qualified. At most, even if you find an organization, comfort each other. Sakuragi Hanamichi also told Miyagi about his distress. From the first time I met Bai Ze to the end of the match with Wu Yuan, this experience was counted. That Oda is a beast. Sakuragi, or let's go back and beat him up again. Miyagi clenched his fists excitedly and instantly empathized with Bai Ze's encounter. But immediately, he vetoed the decision he had just made. No, we can't beat him now. This kind of person is very insidious, and the probability is that he has to publicize it to us. Then we may face a ban penalty later. This bastard. Sakuragi Hanamichi also gritted her teeth angrily. That's right, this scumbag. After a brief silence, Sakuragi Hanamichi asked curiously, what about you, Miyagi, when are you going to confess to that Reina? Miyagi sighed bitterly. He really liked Reina, and he had met once after he was discharged from the hospital, but the two of them were more like they were in the hospital, and it was even better to relax when they were in the hospital. Most of the chats were about physical conditions, or some more official questions and answers, which made both of them feel embarrassed. Miyagi also couldn't figure out Reina's thoughts about him. He thought he had a good impression, but the other party didn't express anything. Let him speak first, he is a little resistant. I am afraid that when I open my mouth, I will get a loss. This has something to do with Miyagi's emotional experience, which has been rejected 20 times in a row, and there is a shadow for everyone. Ah yes, except for the single-celled creatures like Sakuragi Hanamichi. Otherwise there wouldn't have been that appalling 50 times. I believe that if there were no leaves involved, the 51st would have already been pocketed. After understanding Miyagi's thoughts, Sakuragi fell into deep thought. For a long time, Sakuragi suddenly grinned. That's right. I tell you that Xiaobei is a master in this regard. His process with Leaf was planned by him. You go to Xiaobei and ask, it will definitely be solved. Miyagi, who is relatively simple in terms of feelings, seems to have caught a lifesaver. What is Bai Ze best at? Assists. It's just a matter of replacing the ball with an adult. Makes sense, Sakuragi. Tomorrow I'll ask Xiaobei. The relationship between men is established very quickly, maybe because of a common hobby or a common goal. They can soon be called brothers, and drink and drink. Just like Sakuragi and Miyagi at this time, they had always looked at each other unpleasantly, but now they are simply sympathetic to each other. It was already afternoon when Bai Ze and Kaizi returned to Xiangbei to put things away. The two chatted happily along the way, completely ignoring the issue of eating. It wasn't until I came out of school and didn't know whose stomach grumbled that I realized that I hadn't even eaten lunch. Saiko is better, judging from her perfect waist-hip ratio. She knows that she is a self-disciplined person who maintains her figure for a long time. Hunger will not be particularly strong. Bai Ze is different, just as the so-called 3-point training and 7-point eating. This game is over, suddenly hungry and eager to eat all the colors. It's just that damn sanity. Let Bai Ze still choose to go to have some food together. So the two found a noodle shop on the street and got in. At the dinner table, Keiko's amount of rice was similar to Bai Ze's prediction, and she couldn't wait to smell it and eat it. Just watch Bai Ze eat happily. Xiaobei, are you eating and drinking like this? How do you stay in shape? Indeed, Bai Ze's figure is perfect, every inch of his body is just right, and the lines are like a knife. But at the moment, Bai Ze does not refuse, whether it is carbs, fried food, or carbonated drinks. A person eats with relish. This makes Keiko, a person who relies on long-term self-discipline to maintain his figure, very envious. Bai Ze smiled and said, before. There is a good saying, smoking exercises the lungs, drinking exercises the stomach, and fights to exercise all round. I may have put too much effort into the all-round area before. This crooked reason made Keiko listen to the music. In this case, you should be a person who likes to take the initiative. But why do you play and don't like to attack? So far, whether it's the team game or the morning practice game, you haven't attacked once. Why? Kaizi took the opportunity to ask the question that had been confusing for a long time. Not only her, but too many people in Xiangbei wanted to know why. It's just that as soon as Bai Ze came on the field, he used that wonderful pass to make everyone forget everything. When I wanted to ask again, I gave myself the answer. People don't need to. And Bai Ze's assist is helping everyone score points. The cheap is all taken up, who still sells a good one? Ask why, let me take advantage. That is, Keiko, who has a special position in the team and is more familiar with Bai Ze, took the initiative to ask. But Bai Ze's answer was more casual, just like everyone thought, just 3 words, no need. Of course, it's true that you don't need to. Bai Ze now only needs assists, to use this as a basis for growth. Another is that he really didn't attack before. 60 points of shooting ability, plus 70 points of dribbling ability, what can you do? A few mistakes and a few irons, it's not necessary. Easy to spoil the image. This is not brushed out today. 37 ability points, and when there is time to operate, you can solve a lot of problems. With this progress, after a few games, everything fell into place. Let's not fight an unprepared battle, the weapon will either not be lit, and if it is revealed, it will kill all sides. After eating a meal between talking and laughing, Bai Ze has now become a person with small assets, and eating a meal is just sprinkling water. Very dashingly settled the account. As soon as the two came out of the noodle restaurant, a wave of people came not far away, smoking cigarettes one by one, with strange hairstyles, tattoos and no money on the body, which attracted people's attention. Keiko subconsciously hid behind Bai Ze. But her eye-catching figure and appearance were targeted by this group of people from the moment she left the noodle restaurant. No way, her yoga pants are too lethal. The attack range is also wide. Fortunately, there was a Bai Ze beside him, who not only did not fear them, but also looked at them head-on. That aura is extremely rising. Make Psycho feel safe. In the end, the gang didn't do anything out of the ordinary, just glanced at Kaizi a little more, and then walked past Bai Ze with a smile. At this time, one of them threw out the cigarette in his hand, and it was clear that the cigarette had not been lit. Bai Ze couldn't help frowning slightly. That was Mitsui Shou? Episode 45. How can the famous Mitsui Shou Shirasawa not know? From the first glance, I felt that the person was familiar, but the long hair made that face loom, and I couldn't be too sure. It wasn't until he walked past that Bai Ze was convinced that he was not mistaken. It's Mitsui Shou, without a doubt. In the fight with Miyagi, both of them were hospitalized, and Miyagi is now playing alive. At this time, Mitsui looked obviously still a little weak. It can be seen that in the area of physical fitness, the junior is indeed poor. However, he still maintained a trace of faith and did not smoke. The one just thrown is the best proof of this. Come out to mess around, the brothers will inevitably smoke, and it's not good if you don't pick up, but you can take it and find an opportunity to throw it away quietly. I don't know why, Mitsui has never been beaten. Most likely because of his good big brother. After Mitsui walked out not far away, he glanced back at Bai Ze intentionally or unintentionally. That look is complicated, there is contempt, there is provocation, and there is some envy. People can't read. Psycho held the tall hill and sighed in relief. That gang looks so scary, fortunately you are here today. Saying that, Keiko's hand rested on Bai Ze's shoulder, revealing a sense of security. Bai Ze smiled meaningfully, looking terrible is not necessarily a bad person, and Sven's is not necessarily a good person. Before Psycho could ponder this sentence for a while, the hand that was resting on Bai Ze's shoulder was caught. Bai Ze gently took her hand down, let's go. Then, the hand was like a frightened little white rabbit, and it fled at once. Keiko's face was slightly red, and she slapped Bai Ze's arm shyly, and ridiculed. I see you're scarier than those of them. 3 days later. No one knew about the practice match in which Xiangbei won the Wu Yuan. Both teams were among the weak teams last year, and no one would pay attention to the rookie pecking at each other. The news of the win was spread little by Sakuragi Hanamichi, eager to get more eyeballs. Of course, there was almost no one else in that match in his mouth. It was Sakuragi Hanamichi who defeated the entire Wu Yuan team alone. But in the end, it didn't stir up any storms. The discussion scope of Xiangbei High School still does not include the basketball team. But there is one person who has been silently watching. It is Tatsuhiko Aota from the judo club. Early this morning, he immediately poked at the entrance of the campus, waiting for his sweetheart. Qingtian? What are you doing here in a judo suit? Mu Twilight asked with a puzzled look. Not only Mu Twilight, but everyone who entered the school was puzzled when they saw him. Early in the morning, it was still raining, and this person put on a white coat and stood at the door. Isn't this a bit of a serious illness? But in the eyes of Qingtian Tatsuhiko, he felt that he was handsome. Looking at the smug smile, glasses, you should know in your heart why I am here. Humph, I said, I will not give up. By the way, I heard that you played a practice match and won the martial arts garden by several points. Hehe, how can this low-level competition arouse their fighting spirit? Today, I want to show them how majestic this costume is. Man, fight. Instead of playing the kind of shooting game that breaks the law when touched. Mu Twilight looked at him like a fool. Violate. Violate the law? Ignorance is really a terrible and sad thing. To say that Mu Twilight was indeed a little worried before, but after such a long time, the game has also been played, and now they are 100 hearts for Bai Ze. Not to mention the judo department, they will not go if there is a flight attendant department. Well, most likely not. Qingtian, don't blame me for not reminding you, those two guys are often late for school. I have no problem waiting for them, but I suggest you put on a coat, or hit an umbrella. I see it's going to rain heavily, and your look is really... Forget it, if you like it. After Mu Twilight finished speaking, he tightened his clothes, and he felt cold and panicked for Qingtian. An hour later. As Twilight predicted, the rain was really falling. Aota Tatsuhiko's costume has been drenched in close-fitting autumn clothes. I sneezed 5 or 6 times in a row, sniffed my somewhat reddened nose, and muttered to myself. Sure enough, they are not people who follow the rules, and this kind of personality is suitable for fighting. That's it for today, I won't give up. Ah. Chirp. Horses, it's so cold. Xiangbei High School Basketball Department. It's not just Shirasawa and Sakuragi who are late today. And Ryota Miyagi. These 3 people went to Kanagawa Prefectural Hospital early this morning. At the instigation of Shirasawa, Miyagi finally confessed to Reina. The process was not particularly smooth. Miyagi deflated his face and did not go over, and in the end, it was Shirasawa who went to pull Reina in front of him. Miyagi looked like he wanted to say something, and he spoke his heart. After speaking, he lowered his head and clenched his hands nervously. As a result, Reina generously agreed. Miyagi was a little overwhelmed. A basketball teenager and a nurse sister came together. Just as the so-called young people don't know how good their sister is, they mistake their sister for treasure. Miyagi Ryota, this can also be regarded as an early start. When the brothers walked into the basketball hall, they were greeted by the furious Takashi Akagi. You bastards. You actually dare to lick your face and smile. Being late is acceptable, but Akagi really can't bear to be a few hours late en masse. Not killing a single one is not enough for the civilian outrage. But what gives Akagi a headache is the punishment. Generally speaking, the normal process is to be sprayed first, giving mental shock, and then physical punishment, what running laps, push-ups, switchback running and so on, once giving you a long memory of torture. But this brother is different, not only has a big heart, but also is all physical monsters. All kinds of corporal punishment are like passing family in their eyes, doing talk and laughing, and even think it is much more interesting than group training. Akagi Gangxian sighed helplessly. Mu Twilight, you go, know the affection, let those few goods not be allowed to miss training for no reason in the future. The corporal punishment will end here. I have a headache when I punish. Mu Twilight couldn't help but laugh. Leave it to me, but the few of them seem to have a good relationship now, which is also a gratifying thing. Akagi snorted coldly. Problem child Legion, I hope you don't poke any big losey in the future. Mu Twilight looked at Bai Ze and them with longing eyes, and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Akagi, if that guy is also there, just in my place, it will be the strongest Xiangbei. Hearing this, Akagi Gangxian was slightly startled, and then his brows wrinkled. Mention what he does, a person who gives up his dreams, and you don't always look down on yourself, you are an important member of the team. Mu Twilight sighed lightly. I just sighed. Don't worry, Akagi, I will train hard, assist you as much as possible, and seize our last opportunity. At this time, the door of the arena opened. Coach Anze and Saiko walked in, and then waved Akagi to gather everyone together. After the players gathered, Coach Anze nodded. We have one more practice game to play before the county competition. Upon hearing this news, the team members began to talk about it. In previous years, there was not a single practice match, but this year I actually played 2 in a row. Coach Anze roared and smiled. The game is the best training, but this time our opponent is very strong. Hearing this, the team members were a little confused. There are 2 types of strength. One is really strong, such as the overall champion of the last national competition, Shan King. Or Hainan, the king who dominated Kanagawa. There is also a kind of strength, called relatively strong. Compared with itself, in terms of Xiangbei's past record, 90% of the teams can be called strong teams. What Coach Anze said about strong cannot be the first one. Under everyone's curious gaze, Saiko slowly spoke. Lingnan High School. Episode 46. Lingnan? Everyone in Xiangbei couldn't help but exclaim. This time, even Sakuragi Hanamichi was involved. In addition to Xiangbei, Sakuragi Hanamichi knows a total of 2 basketball colleges. One is Wuyuan, where Oda is located, and the other is Lingnan. This is also thanks to Hikoichi Ida, whom I met that night. Sakuragi was surprised. So clever? Just said to defeat them, this is sent to the door? While others were amazed at the strength of Lingnan High School. This is indeed really strong. Looking at the entire Kanagawa prefecture, this summer's recruitment is the most active. With the original starting plastic surgery unchanged, super scorer Kid Rukawa was introduced. In terms of Rukawa Kid's strength, it should be stable to average more than 20 points per game in the high school league. There is a saying that Lingnan directly strengthened by 20 points. The game has not yet begun, so add 20 points to the scoreboard. Of course, it's just a joke of some teams, but it also reflects Lingnan's current book strength. Last season, Lingnan was the top 4 team in Kanagawa Prefecture. In theory, only Hainan and Xiangyang were better than them, and this season with the addition of Rukawa Kid, Lingnan has become a champion candidate. For such a team, Coach Anze actually arranged practice matches. How can you not surprise everyone? The 2 teams are completely out of the numbers. In fact, even Coach Anze did not expect such a practice match. Just yesterday, Coach Anze received a call from Lingnan head coach Shigechi Tauka. Shigechi Tauka is also more direct, because Lingnan is this year's seeded team, and playing directly from the quarterfinals is equivalent to playing 4 fewer games than other teams. In order for the team to run in early, I want to arrange a practice session before the prefectural competition. And choosing Xiangbei as an opponent, Shigechi Tauka is known to help Xiangbei grow. We introduced Rukawa Kid, but you also introduced Shirasawa who defeated him, plus Miyagi Ryota also returned to the team, so you have to run in, right? You Xiangbei definitely want to move forward this season. Then playing 1 game with our Lingnan is better than playing 10 games with others. Doesn't it neat? Train troops. Coach Anze smiled, and no matter how true Shigeru Tauka's words were, this practice match could indeed be arranged. Just won the big score of Wuyuan, and the spirit of the team members suddenly rose. Once the sense of crisis is weak, the team's combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. At this time, arranging a match with a strong team like Lingnan can just stimulate the team's state and make them realize that there are still many strong opponents, and they must maintain hunger. By the way, you can also find your own shortcomings in this game and make up for them before the prefectural competition. The 2 had their own thoughts and hit it off. The practice match was decided. Faced with the players' amazement, Coach Anze said succinctly, "Oh? Seeing that your reaction is very afraid of Lingnan, then if you don't fight, let's put this year's goal on the quarterfinals." As soon as the words fell, Takashi Akagi was the first to stand up, pinching the pair of iron fists to ignite the fighting spirit of the players. "Coach, we're okay. If even Lingnan is afraid, what else to talk about dominating the country? We are the strongest this year." Coach Anze nodded with satisfaction. This state is right, you think Lingnan is very strong, but have you ever carefully thought that Kanagawa has so many teams? Why did Lingnan invite us? The players looked at each other, which was a bit confusing. Just last year, a county competition in Shanglingnan exploded in northern Xiangbei, just like the previous Wuyuan fight, and there was no confrontation at all. The only bright spot in northern Shonan is Takashi Akagi, who comprehensively suppresses Jun Yusumi, the inner pillar of Lingnan. It's a pity that Lingnan has another card, which is the Immortal Dao, that slashes 47 points. Shandao's personal score is almost the same as the total score of the entire Xiangbei team. It's no exaggeration to say it's a solo exhibition match. This suddenly looked for Xiangbei to play practice matches. What's the matter? Immortal Dao still wants to make a sequel? Or do you want to give their new star Ryuko a key to show? Lingnan is also a strong team, it's not so shameless. Just when everyone's brains were open, Takashi Akagi said categorically, because we are strong. It's so strong that Lingnan also has to pay attention to us. Akagi's statement surprised the team members. But look at Coach Anze's reaction, it seems. Very much agree? Are we strong enough to get the championship candidates to pay attention? To say that this year's team is different from last year is the lineup. Thinking of this, everyone couldn't help but sweep their eyes towards the newcomers. Kuwata. Too. In the next moment, the team members suddenly realized. That's right, the only change this year compared to last year is the addition of Shirasawa and Sakuragi Hanamichi. Sakuragi Hanamichi aside. Shirasawa. He defeated Kid Rukawa in the middle school final. Although I didn't see that final with my own eyes, I heard that Bai Ze only appeared for 50 seconds, which made Rukawa Kid miss the champion and MVP. Since Bai Ze came to Xiangbei, the level of the team has skyrocketed, especially Bai Ze's passing, so that everyone has been blessed and began to have confidence in themselves and the team. It is believed that Xiangbei has been reborn. The last wild victory over Wu Yuan is the best proof. It can be said that everything in Xiangbei now is brought by Bai Ze. And Bai Ze still has too many things that have not been shown. What Lingnan cares about must be him. Meeting the admiring gazes of his teammates, Bai Ze smiled lightly, guessing what they were thinking at this time. It doesn't matter why it should come or not. After Wu Yuan's foreshadowing, he also improved a step further, and put all those ability points on ball control. Now that the grasp is greater, strive to brush a little more. Prepare for the upcoming county competition. Bai Ze looked light and breezy, looking like a master. And Sakuragi Hanamichi, who stands beside Shirasawa, cannot be low-key. He thought that all the eyes were on him. Sakuragi Hanamichi folded her arms around her chest and laughed mysteriously and proudly. Ha ha ha. It seems that it can't be hidden. That's right, the edge of genius can't be hidden, I should have thought of this a long time ago. That's right. The reason why Lingnan chose us is because of me. Genius Sakuragi Hanamichi. Ha 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 ha. I didn't expect him to jump off the wall so quickly when he asked. That's it, good. Let them see the strength of this genius. Sakuragi Hanamichi finished with a look of trepidation. And what waited was not the imaginary exclamation and admiration. His teammates all looked at him blankly. Why can a person be so confused about self-confidence? If arrogance can be measured numerically, Sakuragi Hanamichi must be positive infinity. Takashi Akagi turned a deaf ear directly and habitually. Coach, when is the practice session scheduled? Coach Anze smiled slightly, tomorrow morning. Episode 47. Host, Shirasawa. Height, 188 centimeters, weight 90 kilograms, arm span 195 centimeters, body fat percentage, 7%. Shot, 60, athleticism, 85, possession 87, ball quotient, 85, passing, 99. Evaluation, an elite player who does not shoot, seriously biased. Early the next morning, Bai Ze got up and confirmed the current technical ability. Anyway, it looks pretty good at first glance. As for that evaluation, it's really pertinent. It's excessive. As long as you don't let me shoot, we're still friends. Be sure to do it after this one. 10 minutes later, Shirasawa finished cleaning up, and Sanai Nakagawa also knocked on the door on time. Under normal circumstances, as long as Sanai's work is not particularly busy, he will come to pick up Shirasawa and set off together. Hey handsome guy, I'll go over for your game today. Sanai leaned against the doorway, and today she was dressed more formally, with the charm of a professional woman. I have to say that this is a new visual impact. Bai Ze looked up and down and nodded appreciatively. Good. Hearing this evaluation, Sanai smiled confidently and elegantly brushed the hair on her shoulders. Because not only do you have a competition today, I also want to compete. After the two got into the car, Bai Ze pondered what Sanai had just said. What do you mean you compete too? Aren't you a live media today? But then again, your magazine is really just a practice game, is it too short of news in the off-season? Sanai smiled wryly and nodded. It's true that part of the reason you said, the high school and college leagues are off-season lately, and there are no news topics. You also know that Lingnan's movements in the off-season are very large, and the magazine must be more concerned. As for the competition I mentioned, it's because I may have to be promoted recently, but there is another person competing with me, and today's practice match is where we go together, so I can't lose. Bai Ze then understood. The co-author is a set of magazines engaged in competition for posts. According to Bai Ze's understanding, Sanai originally interviewed more about college basketball, but the high school league has become more and more exciting in the past 2 years, and many talented players seem to have emerged in these 2 years. The level and popularity of the high school league has greatly increased, and even become the hottest sports category in the country. Sanai has not been able to shift the focus of work to the high school side. It stands to reason that with Sanai's business ability, it can be regarded as a dimensionality reduction blow in the field of high school leagues. I didn't expect anyone else to be able to compete with her. Thinking of this, Bai Ze frowned slightly. High school league reporter, Lingnan? A figure instantly appeared in Bai Ze's mind. Yayoi Ida? Bai Ze muttered the name, which surprised Sanai a little. You actually know Yayoi Ida? This really surprised me, Xiaobai. After a brief surprise, Sanai pondered. Yayoi Ida has always focused on high school basketball, especially in Kanagawa Prefecture, and there are almost no high school teams that don't know her. There's no team that doesn't want to be hooked up with Basketball Weekly. Bai Ze knew that she was not unusual. Sanai sighed. That's right, Ida-senpai is my competitor for promotion, even you know her, it seems to be tricky. Bai Ze smiled lightly and said something that surprised Sanai greatly. Then let it be to her, even if you are promoted, what can you do? Have you ever thought that this traditional paper media will be replaced sooner or later? Bai Ze, as a person who came over. Of course, knowing the development trend of the world after that, it is only a matter of time before traditional print media is eliminated. He had wanted to talk to Sanai about this before, but he never had the right opportunity. But these words surprised Sanai, and she almost chased her tail. As a media person, Sanai is a young and accomplished kind. In fact, she has also thought about this problem. But at the moment, this is a very advanced idea, even the director of their magazine is sure not to realize it. And Bai Ze can actually say this opinion. It was so unexpected indeed. You actually understand this? To be honest, I kind of adore you. At this time, Sanai looked at Bai Ze's eyes with admiration. This big boy surprised her so much. Then Sanai sighed helplessly. But even if your prediction is correct, but Basketball Week is also considered the top in the industry, I give up here, where are I going? It's hard to go it alone. Sanai also said unintentionally, this problem has always bothered her, seeing the future trend, there is no way to change anything. You don't have to make sure you have food and clothing first, and then look at the opportunity when the day comes. It's the same to do it yourself, it's just a new print media in China, and it certainly can't do a mature enterprise like Basketball Weekly. When the paper media is lonely, the trouble will only increase. Bai Ze turned his head to look at her, and at this moment, an idea popped up in his mind. Sanai, if you believe me, I have a plan that will allow you to successfully transform and continue to grow. Sanai met Bai Ze's gaze in surprise. Today Bai Ze really made her a little unrecognizable. Not only to talk about the media industry, but even to give her a plan for the future? But judging from the opinions expressed by Bai Ze, coupled with Bai Ze having never been so serious, Sanai did not dare not pay attention. He said that plan might be really subversive. Sanai smiled and looked at Bai Ze seriously. You know, I've always believed in you. Lingnan High School. Sanai and Shirasawa drove directly into the school parking lot. Sanai's heartbeat was still accelerating. The plan Bai Ze said really surprised her. It can be said that it is completely beyond her imagination. But at the same time, I am very much looking forward to it. It made her extremely excited. It's just that this matter is still urgent, and it needs to wait for an opportunity. As for this timing, it depends on Bai Ze's. Sanai is here. When Sanai heard this voice, she turned around, and it was Yayoi Ida in front of her. The previous competition made the two people who were already unfamiliar with each other a little hostile. But by this time, Sanai had already made up her mind. Just like Bai Ze said, let it be good for her. The corners of Sanai's mouth hooked a beautiful arc, and the whole person's aura became extremely easygoing. Early, Ida-senpai. Episode 48. Huh? Yayoi Ida was stunned for a moment. What's wrong with her today? I don't know, I thought she was a good girl. What kind of routine this is? Then he took a closer look at Sanai from top to bottom. No matter how you look, temperament, or dress, you seem to be much stronger than yourself. This comparison is also considered to be a woman's nature. Looking at the little assistant next to him, his eyes were straight. Syllable. Yayoi Ida took the book and patted him on the head, and the little assistant suddenly retracted his gaze. Senior. Ida Yayoi snorted coldly, preparations. After saying that, he left directly. The little assistant rubbed his head, glanced at Sanai shyly, and followed embarrassedly. Sanai smiled softly. What promotion competition, let's not care. Watch Xiaobei play ball steadily. Lingnan Basketball Hall. Compared to the independent gymnasium in Wuyuan last game, Lingnan is much more low-key. Similar to Xiangbei, it is an ordinary large basketball hall. But the audience is a lot. The upper circle of stands and the surrounding area of the playing field were all crowded. This is really all fans, unlike the guards like Wuyuan, who ask them how many people in the basketball game they can't answer. This is the appeal of Lingnan. Use strength step by step to get to today, sitting in the top 4 in the county. Cultivate a large number of fans. As soon as the Lingnan team members entered the warm-up, they were greeted with cheers. With the addition of Kid Rukawa this year, the team cannot say that the future is promising, and it is a contender for the championship now. It doesn't work to get the fans excited. It's out. Fish Live. Immortal Road. You have to win the championship this year. We're here to cheer you on. Lingnan. Lingnan. Shigechi Tauka sat in the dugout, very satisfied. Today's scene can be said to have been created by him with one hand. Extra rewarding. Next to him was a player who was wearing training clothes, but not warming up. It is the number 1 bastard in Lingnan, Hikoichi Ida. At this time, he was sitting there weakly, with a pair of eyes glancing left and right. Shigechi Tauka said displeased, Hikoichi, what are you doing? What does it look like to cringe? So many people are watching, take out the momentum of our Lingnan. Ida Hiko shrunk his neck. Coach, I heard. My sister will be here today, I'm afraid she will get angry again when she sees that I didn't play basketball properly. Hikoichi was rightly worried, his sister Ida Dai sent him to the Lingnan basketball team not as a data analyst. You cannot play because of your own ability, but you can't beat yourself up. With Yayoi Aida's experience, as long as Hikoichi goes up to warm up, you can see at a glance whether he has trained seriously. The eldest sister is like a mother, and the younger brother's disobedience will inevitably lead to a bloody storm. So Hikoichi resolutely chose to sit on the sidelines and try his best to improve his survival rate. Coach, please can you help me later, for the sake of my searching for intelligence in northern Xiangbei day and night? I'll tell you which is Sakuragi Hanamichi in a moment. Shigechi Tauka frowned, he couldn't help Hikoichi, as a passerby, he could also see the bright spots on Hikoichi. Although it is not the material for playing basketball, it will definitely have a place in this field in the future. Yayoi Ida is still young after all, and he can't hold his breath. He also decided that in the next 3 years, he would train Hikoichi in another direction, at least to give Yayoi Ida an explanation. I said to help you before, hurry up and cheer me up. Xiangbei should be coming soon. As he spoke, the light at the entrance of the arena was suddenly blocked. An extremely majestic figure crossed the door. It immediately attracted the attention of the spectators on the sidelines. Look quickly, Xiangbei is coming. Isn't that Takashi Akaji? It feels like he's even stronger than last year. It's horrible to watch. Last year, our fish lived but suffered a lot of losses on him. Afraid of what? It's not served by Sandao, not to mention that this year we also came to Luchuan Feng, this game is at most 5 minutes, and the back is garbage time. In the midst of the discussion, Takashi Akaji led the Xiangbei basketball team into the arena. Akaji was in front, followed by Shirasawa and Sakuragi Hanamichi, and the 3 masters pulled up the momentum of the entire team. It's just that you can't look back, and the first-year substitutes led by Kawada behind are no different from Hikoichi Ida, who cowered on the sidelines. There is also a particularly awe-inspiring Coach Anze next to him. At the same time, 2 hostile eyes on the field also looked over. A close stare at Takashi Akagi, as if to crush him. Another gaze was cold to the bone, shooting towards Bai Ze. Akagi. Bai Ze. The two murmured while tacitly understanding. Immortal Dao on the side smiled helplessly when he saw this scene. These two are his good teammates, Yusumi and Kid Rukawa. In the world of Immortal Dao, they couldn't understand their grievances at all. Isn't it just a loss before, what a big deal. Last year, I also lost to Xiangyang and Hainan, and I am not like you. Playing should be a very relaxing and enjoyable thing. There's nothing that fishery fish can't fix. If there is, fish again. Shigechi Tauka on the sidelines greeted him. Because of Anze's seniority, the coaches of the basic high school basketball class belong to his juniors. Distinguished guests everywhere you go. You came all the way from afar, and we will have a good game in a moment. Shigeru Tauka said with a bow. Coach Anze roared and smiled, and after a few official polite words, the two returned to their respective places. As soon as Shigechi Tauka sat down, Hikoichi approached with a cautious look. Coach, that red-haired one is Sakuragi Hanamichi, a mysterious master in northern Xiangbei. The other number 9 is Bai Ze, who defeated Rukawa Kid in the middle school final. Hey? No, why is there another 7th? Who is that number 7? Ida Hikoichi hurriedly flipped through the book. Coach Tauka nodded thoughtfully. This Sakuragi Hanamichi alone is indeed not to be underestimated from the point of view of body shape, and it is worth taking a good look. Not to mention Bai Ze, he sat on the sidelines in that middle school final, had a general understanding of Bai Ze's ability, and almost chose Bai Ze for the team. These two people, plus Takashi Akagi, and Ryota Miyagi have also returned, and this year's Northern Xiangbei is very different. This practice session is so timely. Shigechi Tauka's gaze once again looked at Coach Anze. Coach Anze, if you promised me this practice match, I am afraid that you also have the intention of temptation. So let's get to the bottom of it. Episode 49. 5 minutes before the start of the game. Players from both sides return to the dugout. Wait for the coach to make final arrangements. Xiangbei still continued the starting lineup of the previous game. Center Takashi Akagi, power forward Hanamichi Sakuragi, small forward Kanobu Kaduki, shooting guard Yoshida Miyagi, point guard Shirasawa. This is also the strongest combination in Xiangbei at present. There is no more person. Coach Anze held a tactical board and glanced up at several starters. Everyone was full of fighting spirit. Keep it this way, and remember, you are the strongest. Several people nodded, and Coach Anze continued. Lingnan will definitely launch a fierce attack at the beginning. Akagi, Sakuragi, you two shrink the defense, protect the basket, and don't let them break through easily. Twilight is responsible for assisting the defense, causing delays for the breakthrough players. Zayahaku and Miyagi, the defense of the outside line will be handed over to you. We have to start this game from defense. I don't need to say more on the offensive end. Try to run, Xiaobai will control the opportunity. Saying that, Coach Anze looked at Bai Ze with trust. Bai Ze nodded. The other side. Shigechi Tauka announced Lingnan's starting lineup for the first time. Center Yusumi, power forward Sendo, small forward Kid Rukawa, shooting guard Hiroyaki, off-road, point guard Tomoyuki Wakusa. This set of starters was also expected by all the players. It's just that Xiandao raised a position and reached the 4th position. Gave the position of small forward to Kid Rukawa. However, it is not surprising, after all, Xiandao has a height of 190 centimeters. With the height of an interior and the skill of a defender, that's what's scary about him. And compared to the substitutes in Xiangbei, Lingnan is much stronger in terms of squad depth. Ryoji Ikigami, a third-year junior, is Kanagawa's famous defensive titan. There is also the same third-year center Sugahai, whose big bamboo pole-like figure is also outstanding in the substitute lineup. An inch tall and an inch stronger. The depth of the lineup also allows Shigechi Tauka to have more options and form various lineups. This time the starter does not necessarily represent the future. After arranging the lineup, Shigechi Tauka arranged the opening play. Attack. The last thing we lack in Lingnan now is offensive firepower. I want you to play Xiangbei in the first half and enter the second half with an advantage of more than 30 points. The generals nodded confidently. Only Immortal Dao, drinking his own drink, looked absent-minded. Shigechi Tauka shook his head helplessly. Immortal Dao's desire to fight is difficult to arouse just by saying it. The only way to get him to give his best is to meet players who are close to him and inspire his fighting spirit. Looking at the god Nakawa, there is currently only the trump card of Hainan, and the shepherd who is known as the Imperial Shepherd can do this. Even the super newcomer in the team, Rukawa Kid, is not qualified enough. And obviously today's immortal Dao is not in any state. I am afraid that the heart is not here. For him, after all, this is just an innocuous practice match. Seeing that immortal Dao could not count on it, Shigeru Tauka had a good chance to change his target. Lu Chuanfeng, you will be the main attack in a while. Rukawa Kid looked at Bai Ze, who was sitting lazily in the player dug like immortal Dao. An aura of slaughter spread. Good. Toot. There was a whistle on the field. The starters of both teams are officially on the scene. Yayoi Ida and Sanai on the sidelines have separate seats as guest media. Yayoi Ida has entered the working state, holding a pen in his hand and ready to go. He didn't even look at his brother from beginning to end. Everything will wait until the work is finished. The assistant next to him also set up the camera and did the final debugging. Only Sanai, looking nonchalant, with a blazer draped over her shoulders, lazy and temperamental, a cup of coffee on the table, looking at the field with a smile. It doesn't look like I'm here to work. It is a stark contrast to Yayoi Ida next to him. But at present, the most eye-catching person in the audience is her. The game did not officially start, and most of the audience consciously or unintentionally focused their eyes on her side. After all, good things are always pleasing to the eye. It's worth it to be scolded by your girlfriend by the ear. Can't you take a look yet? On the field, Teiken Akagi and Yusumi walked to the center line. The two looked at each other, and their eyes were full of sparks. Obviously he didn't say a word, but the momentum of the two people became more and more fierce, as if they had already hooked up in their hearts. Lu Chuanfeng's eyes were also extremely cold, and he kept locking on Bai Ze. And Bai Ze is much more generous. Instead of beckoning to you, let's also look at the good things. The face that didn't care made Lu Chuanfeng even more unhappy. Today, his only goal is to beat Bai Ze. Revenge for not shooting. Just as everyone was concentrating and waiting for the game to start, an abrupt laugh rang out. Ha 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 ha. Lingnan, I said long ago that I would defeat you. And the one called Rukawa Kid, you will know what a genius is right away. Today's game just made me genius. Poof. Akagi couldn't bear it anymore, and turned around and sent an angry punch, causing Sakuragi Hanamichi's voice to stop abruptly. The spectators on the sidelines were watching a monkey show. I had no idea what was going on in the redhead's head. With this ignorant and blind confidence, I can't help but want to laugh out loud. The game, which had just entered the atmosphere, turned into laughter and a few abuses in a blink of an eye. Lu Chuanfeng, who was named by name, frowned in disgust. Except for Bai Ze and Xiangbei, he was not interested in anyone else, and his eyes were out of sight. Only Hikoichi Ida stood up excitedly. Here it comes. Sakuragi-senpai's prophecy is here. He said that this game will definitely show his strength. This momentum can't be wrong. Sakuragi-senpai. Come on. I'm looking at you. Tauka Shigeru was immediately angry, and he didn't care about his identity, and learned to send a punch from Akagi. You give me a quiet seat. Which side the hell are you? The referee blew a whistle, ending the little farce. The ball in his hand was also thrown with the trend. Takashi Akagi and Yusumi roared at the same time, and the unhappiness in their hearts towards each other all erupted from this moment. The two gritted their teeth and jumped up enough to reach the basketball. Syllable. Almost at the same time, the two filmed basketball together. Then came the fleeting contest. Yes. With another roar from Yusumi, the basketball fell out of Akagi's hands and was hit on Lingnan's side. This round, Yusumi wins. Akagi Genken frowned. He is not the only one who is still improving, and Yusumi is even more exaggerated. Tomoyuki Wakusa got the ball and began to organize Lingnan's first attack of the game. Bai Ze's figure flashed and greeted him. Episode 50. Yusumi didn't pay in vain this year. Finally, I saw results. Shigechi Tauka nodded in satisfaction on the sidelines. Just last year, the fish lived in front of Takashi Akagi like an elementary school student. Be taken at will. After one game, Akagi almost kept a clean sheet, and he fell into deep depression for it. This couldn't help but let Shigechi Tauka see how Yusumi looked when he first entered the south of the tomb. That year, Yusumi had just graduated from junior high school. Known as the highest national middle school student in the country, in the National Middle School League, His height of 2 meters is almost a bug-like existence. Most of the junior high school teams describe him with terrifying adjectives such as monsters, etc. From that moment on, Shigechi Tauka made plans for the future of Lingnan. It is based on this monster fish residence as the core to build. However, after you lived in Lingnan, he came into contact with high school basketball, but found that everything was different. He is calling the wind and rain under the basket of the National Middle School, but here he is like a big wooden stake. The sudden increase in the level of the game made him completely disoriented. He was even ridiculed by his teammates for wanting to give up basketball at one point. At that time, it was Shigechi Tauka who untied his heart and adjusted his state, so that Yusumi couldn't help but stay in the team, and he grew up quickly. Until he took the position of captain of Lingnan. This time, Shigechi Tauka still untied his heart, let him continue to move forward, put in 10 times or even 100 times the effort, and take revenge. From that moment on, the persistent Yusumi spent all his time except for sleeping on training. Just to fight Akagi again. Judging from the jumping ball just now, Yusumi's efforts have paid off. Whether it is bouncing force or strength, or even momentum, there is a faint posture to suppress Akagi. Of course, this is just a jump ball, but you have to watch it slowly during the game. But what is guaranteed is that Yusumi cannot be easily handled. Planting grass with the ball and organizing Lingnan's first attack. Lu Chuanfeng originally wanted to directly confront Bai Ze, but he didn't expect Bai Ze to take the initiative to step forward and find the grass. This position made Lu Chuanfeng's brows furrow deeper. Because it was Mu Twilight Gongyan who stood in front of him at this time. From the outside, Mu Twilight and him are not on a horizontal line. What does this mean? Do you look down on people in Bai Ze? Or are you deliberately evading? Mu Twilight naturally didn't know what Ruchuan Qid was thinking, and at this time he was paying full attention to his defense, doing his best to cling to Lu Chuanfeng. But even so, the picture still looks very unreal. The gap in this set of counterpoints is too big. The big one is like. It's like Shirasawa and planted grass. This set of counterpoints is even more exaggerated than Lu Chuanfeng's side. The 170 centimeters planted grass looks extremely small in front of Shirasawa. This scene was something that Shigechi Tauka never expected. In his plan, it should be Miyagi who stands here. If arranged in this way, what is the difference between Lu Chuanfeng's side and the vacant seat? Coach Anze, is this gambling? Think the grass is still as immature as last year? Tauka Shigeru smiled slightly. Xiangbei is too small to look at the ability to plant grass. Last year, the first-grade grass planting was indeed very young. Shigechi Tauka didn't want to cultivate him at first. Because Tauka's original target for point guards was Ryota Miyagi. In the junior high school league, Tauka was attracted to Miyagi's abilities. For this reason, several sets of plans were prepared to recruit him. But Miyagi refused without thinking about it. The reason is that Xiangbei has a famous former national player Coach Anshi. It's much better to follow him than to follow you. After the loss of Miyagi, Tauka decided to cultivate grass. After polishing the county tournament and training hard all winter, Planta has now become a qualified starting point guard. And known for its robustness. Deeply trusted by Shigechi Tauka. But after all, he is not planting grass himself. At this time, only Zakeo himself knew the horror of the person in front of him. In the face of Bai Ze's defense, the grass planting is as if it is surrounded, and the 360-degree dead end. The oppression was simply suffocating. After being transported in place for a long time, I didn't find a trace of space, but I broke out a lot in cold sweat. Seeing this, the off-road on the side road hurriedly ran over to pick it up. What are you doing planting grass? With this cry, the grass seemed to have found a savior and immediately divided the ball. However, the ball just left the hand. He was stopped by Bai Ze's long arm. Since it is surrounded, how can it give you an opportunity? The moment the ball was broken, Bai Ze's wrist shook, and the ball came in front of the grass plant, and the action was completed in one go. Directly with the ball in front of the field. Off-road Hongming chased after him, and until now, he didn't understand what the grass planting was. Panic. How could there be such a low-level mistake? Bai Ze dribbled the ball forward, and from the moment he passed the grass, he discovered the growth of ball control. In an instant, you can subconsciously decide the action, and you can easily make it. The ball has become very sticky, and the speed of dribbling has also been significantly improved, which is a qualitative leap from before. Fight back quickly. Miyagi sprinted the side road, followed by Rukawa Qid and the others who returned to defense, and there was still a long distance. Straddling Shirasawa and Miyagi, there is only one off-road Hiroaki. Entering the three-point line, Bai Ze suddenly lost speed, passed the ball in a trouser pocket, passed under the crotch of the off-road, and the ball bounced directly in front of Miyagi. Start, catch, and score for layups. It opened the situation for Xiangbei to take the lead. Good pass Xiaobei. Miyagi turned around and high-fived Shirasawa as if everything was expected. But in the cross-country heart, just 90% of that pass is a fluke. In high-speed dribbling, a one-handed pass hit the ground, still through the crotch, and the ball path is still so right. This can't be. And with Bai Ze's height advantage, the more conservative way just now should be to play directly. Why would he risk choosing a pass? In doubt, Lu Chuanfeng's cold voice reached his ears. He is very good at passing on, don't think it's a fluke. Rukawa Kid usually rarely talks to the team, and this sudden statement makes the off-road care extraordinarily. Moreover, Rukawa Kid is still the only person who has fought with Bai Ze. That pass really didn't seem to be a fluke, so this man's style of play was really strange enough. Shigeru Tauka frowned on the sidelines and conceded a goal in just the opening game. Of course, he knew Bai Ze's ability to pass the ball, but what he didn't expect was that he actually put so much pressure on the defensive end. This is a bit of an underestimation of him. Coach Anze, this is a surprise attack. But next time it won't be so lucky. Exchange the ball. Lingnan organized a new wave of attacks. With half-time, the position on the field did not change. Bai Ze is still poking at the front line. Planting Grass also learned his lesson and called a block in time to avoid Bai Ze. The formation of a change of defense, facing Miyagi pressure, suddenly much less. Kid Rukawa raised to get the ball and singled Twilight one-on-one. Snap. After a quick crotch dribbling, Rukawa Kid's shoulders sank. Mu Twilight's pupils suddenly focused. He wants to break through. At the moment when Mu Twilight judged, Lu Chuanfeng suddenly got up quickly. Unreasonably cleaned up the Twilight. This is the huge gap between the two, you know what he is going to do, but you can't help it. Rukawa Kid, who entered the penalty area, faced Takashi Akaji's defense and threw a shot. The basketball slipped past Akaji's fingertips and fell into the basket. Akaji Gongxian's face sank, and he vaguely saw the shadow of last year's Immortal Dao. The same scoring ability is excellent, the difference is that Sendo will jump directly when he dangles Mu Twilight, while Rukawa Kid is full of challenge and must break through the defense before he stops. Another tough guy. Takashi Akaji couldn't help but read. Yusumi behind him smiled proudly, this is just the beginning, Akaji. You and I must also get to know each other as soon as possible, there is not much time left for you in Xiangbei. The meaning of Yusumi is obvious, they want to extend the score in a short period of time, and then there will be a long garbage time. The main player will not have another chance to play. Akaji Gangxian was displeased, you are as blindly confident as our redhead. To give you a piece of advice, this year's Xiangbei is not something that I can defeat. Xiangbei serves, and Bai Ze takes the lead in propulsion. Until this moment, Lingnan really confirmed his location. It's actually a point guard. After the ball passed the half, Bai Ze quickly scanned the running position of his teammates. The next moment, directly threw the ball out. Shigechi Tauka couldn't help but shake his head. It's too messy, and the positions are not well settled. I didn't choose him in the first place. Crouch.